People who possess true spiritual depth rarely talk about their practice. This is not false modesty. It is a profound self-awareness. When someone constantly talks about how much they meditate or claims they are awakened, it actually shows that their mind is still grasping outward. They are still craving validation and praise from others. But those who are truly walking the path of awakening know the limits of words. They understand the heavy price of showing off, and they deeply grasp the boundless merit hidden within silence. We live in an incredibly noisy era. We have all seen people who treat their spiritual practice as social currency. They post pictures of themselves meditating on social media or record videos detailing their profound enlightenment experiences. They are in a rush to let the whole world know they are walking an extraordinary path. But true spiritual practice never needs to be broadcasted to the world. It is a sweet nectar that only you can taste for yourself. Open your phone, and the screen is filled with people trying to prove they exist, what book they read today, what meditation retreat they attended, what sudden realization they had. It is as if these experiences never happened unless they are spoken aloud. It is as if their own value cannot be realized unless they are seen by others. On social media, someone posts a photo of themselves bowing devoutly in a temple with the caption, "Let go of attachments and be free." On video platforms, someone wearing monk robes talks about karma, gathering millions of followers and endless donations. But if you observe carefully, you will notice a fascinating phenomenon. Those who constantly talk about their practice are often the first to complain when minor things go wrong. Those who claim to have seen through the illusions of the world often cling to fame and fortune more tightly than anyone else. In contrast, it is very hard to hear the words "I am practicing" from the mouths of people with genuine spiritual depth. They might be the elderly person selling vegetables at the local market, speaking simply and treating everyone with kindness. They might be an ordinary employee working quietly in an office building, never fighting for the spotlight, handling everything with a calm grace. They will never actively tell you how much Buddhist philosophy they understand or how many Zen retreats they have attended. Yet in their every gesture, they reveal an indescribable peace and freedom. What secret is hidden behind this sharp contrast? Why are true masters actually afraid to say they are practicing? What deep meaning does this fear carry? The answer is hidden within three dimensions: cognitive bias, the limits of language, and the dynamics of energy. From a psychological perspective, this involves the famous Dunning-Kruger effect. Incompetent people often overestimate themselves, while true masters maintain a profound humility and reverence toward their own knowledge from the perspective of Zen wisdom. This relates to the ultimate truth, where words fail and the mind's activity ceases. When you try to use language to describe a profound experience, as the Buddha said, all teachings are merely fingers pointing at the moon, not the moon itself, from the perspective of energy laws. Every time you show off or defend yourself, your inner energy and merit drain away. Silence is actually a highly advanced form of energy conservation. It is the natural choice of those who truly have power. In the following moments, I will take you deep into these three dimensions to uncover the truth behind this silence. We will journey from psychology to ancient Zen stories, from energy cultivation to practical daily methods. Ultimately, we will return to the most simple truth: spiritual practice is like drinking water. Only you know whether it is cold. In 1999, two psychologists from Cornell University published a paper that changed the field of cognitive psychology. Through a series of experiments, they discovered a thought-provoking phenomenon. People who lack ability tend to severely overestimate their skill level, while people who are truly capable tend to underestimate themselves or maintain a deep awe for the knowledge they possess. This is the famous Dunning-Kruger effect. Imagine a massive mountain of knowledge. A person who has just started climbing takes a few steps and thinks they are almost at the summit. Because their vision is limited, they cannot see how many unknown treacherous peaks still lie ahead. But those who have truly climbed to high altitudes see an endless rolling mountain range. They realize that the peak they are standing on is just one small hill among thousands. In the realm of spiritual practice, this effect is especially obvious. A person who has just started meditating might sit for 3 days, feel some energy flowing, and think their chakras have opened. They cannot wait to tell the whole world that they have found the key to awakening. Their excitement is real. But what they do not know is that this is only the shallowest sea. There are countless deeper, more unspeakable realms waiting for them. Psychologists call this a double burden. Incompetent people not only lack a certain skill, but they also lack the metacognitive ability to realize they lack it. Simply put, they do not know what they do not know. It is like a person who only knows basic addition and subtraction trying to understand the complexity of calculus. They might even think, math is just counting, how hard can it be? But when a mathematician faces an unsolved theorem, they clearly know how limited their knowledge is. Humanity's exploration of the mathematical universe has just begun. The ancient Greek philosopher Socrates left us a famous saying, "I know that I know nothing." This was not fake humility. It was his profound insight into the boundaries of human cognition. The more you learn and the wider the fields you touch, the more you can feel the vastness of the ocean of knowledge. You begin to sense how limited and small your own understanding truly is. In his later years, Albert Einstein said that the knowledge we possess is like a single drop of water compared to the entire ocean of our ignorance. A scientific giant who changed human understanding of space and time still maintained a humble reverence for the mysteries of the universe. The French philosopher Voltaire expressed a similar wisdom. You judge a person's wisdom not by what they know, but by what they know they do not know. In the spiritual community, this half-full bottle phenomenon is extremely common. Why do beginners easily develop the illusion of enlightenment? Because they transition from a completely worldly state, full of endless worries, and suddenly encounter some spiritual methods. Maybe it is mindful breathing. Maybe it is observing thoughts. Maybe it is loving kindness meditation. These methods genuinely bring inner peace and joy in a short period of time. This intense contrast from pain to joy makes them mistakenly believe they have achieved the ultimate goal. But those who have walked the long spiritual road know that this is not even the starting point. It just means the mind has quieted down a little bit, and the worries have been temporarily suppressed. True awakening is a complete insight into the nature of life. It is the absolute dismantling of the ego, the ultimate experience of becoming one with all things. How could such a state be reached by meditating for a few days and reading a few scriptures? In the Theravada Buddhist tradition, there is a map of practice that divides the progress of meditation into 16 stages. In the early stages, a practitioner will experience intense joy, bright lights, deep peace, and might even have illusions of supernatural powers. Many people think they are enlightened at this stage and begin to proclaim their realization everywhere. Little do they know, this is just a small rest stop on the journey. There are much more difficult stages of dissolution, fear, and misery waiting for them ahead. What is true awareness? It is realizing your own ignorance regarding the ultimate truth. When you think you finally understand the Dharma, you have actually drifted further away from it. When you feel you have practiced very well, your ego is secretly expanding in the dark. When you cannot resist the urge to tell others that you are practicing, you have fallen into the trap of the spiritual ego. Highly advanced practitioners have gone through the process of thinking they understood, only to realize they were far off, far too many times. They know that every sudden realization they think they have is often just the beginning of the next cognitive limitation. So they dare not speak, not because they are hypocrites, but because they are authentic. They authentically see their own ignorance. They authentically feel the unfathomable depth of truth. This humility is not an act. It grows naturally from hitting walls and overturning their own beliefs time and time again. There is a core phrase in Zen Buddhism: words fail, the mind's activity ceases. These few words reveal the deepest secret of spiritual practice. When logical thinking and verbal expression reach their absolute limits, the true ultimate experience has only just begun. What does this mean? The language we use every day is a system of symbols. It uses concepts, definitions, and logical relationships to describe the world. Language is incredibly useful in daily life. It allows us to communicate and collaborate, but language has a fundamental limitation. It can only ever point at a thing. It can never become the thing itself. The Buddha once used a famous metaphor. All scriptures and all spoken teachings are merely fingers pointing at the moon. When I use my finger to point at the bright moon in the sky, you should look at the moon, not my finger. Yet many people study spiritual texts their whole lives and keep their eyes glued to the finger. They cling to words and concepts, but never truly see the moon itself. Why does this happen? Because language itself is inherently, whenever you use language to describe something, you automatically create division. You create a subject and an object. You create me and not me, good and bad, right and wrong. The very structure of language is built upon this duality. But truth, especially the ultimate truth revealed in Buddhism, transcends duality. It is a state where the subject and object dissolve, where the observer and the observed merge into one. In that state, there is no me experiencing something. There is only pure awareness itself. The moment you try to use words to say it out loud, duality is born again. You slice that non-dual experience into the me, who is enlightened. You divide it into the experiencer and the experienced realm. In that exact second, the truth becomes distorted. Zen patriarchs had a profound understanding of this. They often said, the moment you open your mouth, you are wrong. The moment a thought arises, you go astray. They were not saying you should never speak. They meant that the ultimate state, the ancient masters used a metaphor of a mute person eating honey. The mute person tastes the sweet, rich flavor of the honey perfectly. They experience it fully, but they cannot use words to tell you what it tastes like. It is not that they do not want to speak, but that language simply cannot recreate that pure, direct sensation. The experience of spiritual practice is exactly the same, like drinking water, only you know whether it is cold or warm. You take a sip, and only you know the temperature. You can tell someone the water is cold, but does the word cold actually transfer the real physical sensation of coolness your body felt? Number, that was a unique experience of your body and your awareness in that exact moment. Furthermore, the experience of spiritual awakening is millions of times more profound than drinking water. It is an insight into the essence of life. It is seeing through the illusion of the ego. How could the depth and vastness of such an experience be explained in a few sentences? In the Vimalakirti Sutra, There is a classic story. Manjushri, the bodhisattva of wisdom, asked the layman Vimalakirti, "What is the gate of non-duality?" Many bodhisattvas present shared their views, using profound language to explain the state of non-duality. When it was Vimalakirti's turn, he said absolutely nothing. He just sat there quietly, maintaining a perfect silence. Manjushri praised him, saying, "Excellent, to have no words and no syllables. This is truly entering the gate of non-duality." Why is silence the highest interpretation of non-duality? Because any language will fall into duality, while silence transcends it. Silence does not mean you have nothing to say. It means it cannot be said. It is not a lack of ability, but a recognition that no spoken words could ever be as complete and authentic as this silence. The modern Zen master D.T. Suzuki once said that the Zen experience is absolutely personal and cannot be transmitted through words. Any attempt to describe Zen with language is like trying to catch the wind in a net. Therefore, those practitioners who have truly deep experiences dare not speak lightly. It is not because they are stingy with their wisdom, but because they deeply understand the limits of language. They know that once spoken, what the listener understands is usually not what the speaker meant. Instead, the listener interprets the words based on their own experiences and cognitive frameworks. This interpretation often becomes an obstacle, making people cling to concepts while drifting further away from the actual experience. Rather than misleading beings, it is better to remain silent. The true Dharma is not in the scriptures. It is in every present moment of life. It is in your own awareness. When you truly realize this, you will naturally understand why saying nothing is sometimes far more compassionate than speaking. Beneath the surface of our worldly interactions flows a much more hidden set of rules. The rules of energy, every conversation, and every interaction is essential. When you explain, argue, or show off to the outside world, your merit and inner energy are silently leaking away. Silence, on the other hand, is an advanced form of energy conservation. It is the natural choice of someone who truly has inner stability. The emphasis Buddhism places on controlling one's speech is absolutely not just a moral requirement. It is based on a profound insight into the laws of energy. The Buddha divided wrong speech into 4 categories: lying, divisive speech, harsh words, and idle chatter. All 4 of these language patterns will drain your merit and energy. Why? Because lying requires a massive amount of mental energy to maintain the consistency of the lie. Divisive speech creates cracks in human relationships, which will eventually backfire and damage your own energy field. Harsh words carry intense negative emotions, which violently disturb your inner peace. Idle chatter, those flashy and boastful words, are simply scattering your energy for no reason at all. Practitioners value right speech. This does not mean you should become mute. It means you must learn to master language, which is essentially an energy. Every unnecessary sentence you speak is opening a valve for your energy to escape. Every time you show off, you are announcing to the outside world, "I have an emptiness inside, and I need external validation to fill it." This announcement itself is a display of weak energy. In contrast, it is the accumulation of deep concentration. Think of it like a water. Well, if you keep drawing water from it, the water level drops. But when you stop drawing water, the underground springs slowly replenish it. The well water becomes clearer and more abundant. Ancient Zen practitioners would often go into solitary retreat for months. During that time, they barely spoke. They just sat quietly, meditated, and observed. This was not running away from the world. It was accumulating the fire of concentration, They allowed their inner energy to reach a critical point. When the energy is fully abundant, wisdom naturally bursts forth and true power naturally manifests. Have you ever noticed why silent people often have a commanding presence in a room? You have definitely seen people like this. They do not need to speak loudly. They do not need to prove anything. Just by standing there quietly, they emit an invisible, awe-inspiring force. People instinctively restrain themselves around them and feel This is not a faked aura. It is an internal gravity field accumulated through long-term energy conservation. Silence means you are not dragged around by the outside world. You are not shaken by the doubts of others. You do not inflate with the praise of others. This absolute sovereignty over your own energy naturally radiates an aura of unwavering stability. From a psychological perspective, silence also creates cognitive blank space. When you do not speak, the other person cannot accurately judge your thoughts or abilities. They will instinctively project all sorts of possibilities into that blank space. And those possibilities often overestimate your actual level. This is why unfathomable people more easily win respect, not necessarily because they are incredibly profound, but because they gave others the space to imagine through their silence. But there is an important distinction for truly cultivated people. Their silence is not an intentional act to create a sense of mystery. It is because their inner world is genuinely full, and they do not need language to prove anything. Those who intentionally fake a silent posture will always reveal flaws, because their energy field is fundamentally hollow. There is a very subtle technique in social interaction that Zen practitioners call the art of the pause. When someone says something to you, do not rush to respond. Pause for 3 to 5 seconds. Take a deep breath and then slowly begin to speak. This brief silence seems simple, but it contains a massive energy transformation. In those few seconds, you switch from a reaction mode to a response mode. Reactions are passive and impulsive, often driven by emotion. Responses are active and clear-headed, coming from awareness. That short pause is your inner stability at work. It is you controlling the flow of energy rather than being carried away. More importantly, those few seconds of silence change the entire rhythm of the conversation. You become the master of the rhythm, not the follower. In the dynamics of energy, whoever controls the rhythm holds the initiative. The highest state of silence is not refusing to speak, but having no need to speak. When your inside is full enough, you do not need to prove anything to the world. When your heart is settled enough, you will not be swayed by outside opinions. When you have directly experienced the truth, you know how pale words are, and you naturally close your mouth. This silence is the silence of power. It is the silence of wisdom. It is the silence of compassion. It is not an escape. It is a much higher level of existence. Historically, the life stories of truly enlightened masters always confirm the truth that silence speaks louder than words. Let's look at a few classic Zen stories. The Tang Dynasty master Shiqian, after attaining enlightenment, built a simple hut on a large rock. One day, an old man who sold cloth passed by the bottom of the mountain. He heard there was an enlightened high monk up there and wanted to seek his teachings. He climbed to the top and saw an ordinary-looking old man washing vegetables. He asked, "Where can I find the Zen master?" The man washing vegetables looked up at him and said calmly, "I am him." The old cloth seller was stunned. The man before him wore patched robes and held wet vegetable leaves. He looked nothing like a high monk. He asked doubtfully, "Then can you teach me the Dharma?" Master Shiqian put down his vegetables, looked at him and said, "I have the best treasure, but I never shout to sell it." The cloth seller was a businessman, and he understood immediately, truly good merchandise does not need to be hawked. The louder someone shouts to sell something, the more likely there is a problem with the goods. He bowed respectfully and asked, "Then what is this treasure you do not shout about?" Master Hsing pointed to the sky, then pointed to the earth, then pointed to his own heart, smiled faintly, and went back to washing his vegetables. The old cloth seller stood there for a long time, and suddenly tears streamed down his face. He understood. Where is the truth? It is right between heaven and earth. It is right in this heart. The true path is not found in profound theories or mystical words. It is found right in front of you in the most ordinary acts of washing vegetables, eating, and sleeping. This story reveals a profound truth. The true Dharma does not need packaging. Those who constantly shout about how their method is the most supreme are often using an external halo to cover up their internal weakness. But people who truly carry the weight of wisdom are quiet and plain. They might even look completely ordinary, yet anyone who gets close to them can naturally feel that deep, profound power. During the Ming Dynasty, there was a Zen master who had two top disciples. The senior disciple was eloquent and could speak with a silver tongue. Listeners would be mesmerized by his lectures. The junior disciple, Wuyan, rarely spoke. He spent his days meditating and kept completely silent. One day, the local king wanted to test how much spiritual power these disciples really had. He hung a massive bronze bell in the palace hall and said, "Whoever can make this bell ring without touching it with their hands proves their power is deeper." The senior disciple entered first. He stood before the bell, took a deep breath, channeled his energy, and let out a long, deafening shout. The sound echoed wildly through the hall. But the bronze bell did not move a single inch. He tried several more times, chanting scriptures and reciting mantras, his voice growing louder each time. But the bell remained silent. Sweating and disappointed, he stepped back. Then it was Wuyan's turn. He walked quietly to the bell. He said nothing. He made no sound at all. He simply sat down cross-legged, closed his eyes, and began to meditate. The hall was dead silent. The king and the ministers held their breath, waiting to see what magic he would use. 5 minutes passed. Still nothing. Just as everyone thought he had failed, a miracle occurred. The massive bronze bell began to tremble slightly. First, it emitted an extremely faint humming sound. Then the sound grew louder. Finally, the entire hall echoed with the deep, resonant ringing of the bell. And Wuyan still sat quietly, as if he had merged completely with the sound. The king was shocked. "Why is it that your senior brother used all his strength and could not ring the bell, but you did nothing? And the bell rang itself." Wuyan slowly opened his eyes and said peacefully, "The bell can ring because it is empty inside. I could make it ring because I am also." When emptiness meets emptiness, no words or force are needed. They naturally resonate. This story reveals a deeper truth. Extreme stillness can give birth to extreme movement. When your inner world reaches absolute silence, you do not need to use force. You do not need to prove yourself. All things will naturally respond to you. Those who are always busy showing off and trying to prove themselves have scattered their energy outward. Their inside is hollow, so they cannot resonate with the truth. But those who maintain silence and cultivate inward have a true emptiness and stillness within. That emptiness and stillness is a massive power in itself. The great modern Zen master Shu Yun spent 20 years of his youth as a fire-stoking monk in a temple kitchen. For 20 years, he woke up at 3 a.m. every single day to chop wood, boil water, and cook. While the other monks chanted and meditated in the grand hall, He was always busy in the kitchen. No one knew his background. No one knew he was practicing. Everyone just thought he was a very honest and hard-working old monk. He never complained. He never showed off. And he never told anyone about his inner experiences. To everyone else, he was just an incredibly ordinary kitchen worker. One day, 20 years later, as soon as this monk walked into the kitchen, he was stunned by the aura radiating from Shu Yun. He stood quietly at the door, watching Shu Yun chop wood and start the fire for a very long time. Finally, he pressed his palms together respectfully and asked, "Great Virtue, your practice has reached such heights. Why are you still willing to be a kitchen worker?" Shu Yun looked up, smiled peacefully, and said, "Tending the fire is also practice. Cooking is also the Dharma. Where is there not a temple? Where is there not a meditation?" The visiting monk immediately bowed down and said, "I have traveled the whole world looking for a famous teacher, and today I have finally met one. What does this tell us? True practice is not about the external appearance. It is not about titles. It is not about whether others know you are practicing. Practice happens in every ordinary present moment, in the awareness of every fire you start, in the compassion you hold while cooking, hoping everyone who eats the food will be nourished. When spiritual practice becomes the background color of your life, you do not need to tell anyone you are practicing. Your very existence is the proof of your practice. Why do we say that the higher someone's spiritual level is, the less they dare to say they are practicing? This word dare is worth pondering. This is not cowardice. It is not fake humility. It is a profound reverence for the law of cause and effect and a profound humility toward the truth. Truly cultivated people deeply understand the power of words. The Buddhist sutras say that even after 100,000 eons, the karma you create will not vanish. When the conditions meet, you will bear the fruit yourself. Every thought that arises and every word that leaves your mouth leaves a mark on the web of karma and will eventually return to you. When you say, "I am enlightened," you plant a seed of arrogance. This seed will sprout at some point in the future. It might become fragility when you face a setback, or anger when you are questioned. The image of the enlightened master you built with words will become your shackles, keeping you from being truly free. Even worse, if your spiritual realm is not as high as you claim, and you tell others you have reached the goal, you are misleading living beings. Those who believe your words and follow your path might go astray because of your misguidance. This karmic consequence is extremely severe. The sutras say, if the original cause is not true, the final result will be twisted. If your motivation for practicing is impure, if it is for face or fame, then even if you use the correct methods, the final result will deviate from the true path. True practitioners have a deep awe for cause and effect. They would rather speak less and hide deeper than plant seeds of future suffering for a moment of vanity. Spiritual practice is like climbing a mountain. When you stand at the bottom looking up, the mountain does not seem very high. It feels like you can reach the top soon, so you eagerly start climbing. After a while, you look back and say, "Wow, I have climbed so high at this point." You might feel quite proud of yourself and want to shout down to the people below, "I am almost at the top." But when you actually reach the halfway point, your view suddenly opens up. You see that the peak is not right in front of you. Instead, there is an endless range of mountains stretching behind it, each one higher and more treacherous than the last. In that moment, you realize how ridiculous it was to think you were almost at the top. The place you are standing is just an insignificant hill in a massive mountain range. The spiritual journey is exactly the same. In the beginning, You experience some peace and joy, and you think you have found the truth. But as you go deeper, you realize those experiences were just the scenery at the entrance. There are far more profound, subtle, and unspeakable realms waiting for you. And when you truly climb to a high point, you do not see your own greatness. You see the vastness of truth and the depth of life. You deeply feel your own smallness. You realize how incredibly limited your knowledge of the universe truly is. At that point, how could you possibly dare to say, "I have achieved it"? You will only feel that your true journey has just begun. The essence of spiritual practice is subtraction, not addition. Worldly success is about constantly adding things to the concept of me. How much wealth I have, what status I hold, what skills I have mastered, what recognition I have gained. This me gets bigger and more solid, but spiritual practice is exactly the opposite. It is about peeling away the illusion of the me layer by layer. It is gradually seeing clearly that the concept of me is a fiction. It is impermanent and has no fixed entity. When you say, "I am practicing, I am enlightened," you are reinforcing this me. You are telling yourself and others that there is an I that exists, and this I is doing something amazing. And this I has reached a certain level, but when you go truly deep into your practice, you will discover that there is no fixed, unchanging me at all. What we call me is just a temporary combination of conditions, an illusion brought when you truly experience selflessness, who would step forward and say, "I am enlightened." As the Diamond Sutra says, if a bodhisattva holds on to the idea of a self, a person, a living being, or a lifespan, they are not a true bodhisattva. A true bodhisattva does not even have the thought, "I am a bodhisattva." So how could they announce, "I am practicing the bodhisattva path"? Therefore, the deeper the practice, the lighter the me becomes. When the ego fades to a certain point, the thought, "I need to tell people I am practicing" naturally disappears. It is not intentionally suppressed. It simply vanishes. Truly wealthy people do not need to wear gold and silver to prove their wealth. They have inner confidence and do not need external decorations to fill their insecurities. Similarly, people with true spiritual depth do not need external validation to prove their practice. Their hearts are full, free, and peaceful. They do not need to extract a sense of value from the praise of others. It is exactly those whose hearts are empty and unsure who constantly need to announce to the world, "Look, I am practicing. I am amazing. You need to validate me and respect me." This need itself exposes their inner poverty. A Zen saying goes, "Those who possess the way do not speak of it clearly. Those who speak of it clearly do not possess the way." This doesn't mean everyone who speaks lacks spiritual depth. It means that those who are eager to prove to the outside world that they have depth are usually hollow inside, because for those who truly have the way, their satisfaction and joy come from internal realization, not external evaluation. When you no longer need others to tell you that you are great, when you no longer need to use the identity of a spiritual practitioner to gain respect, you become truly free. This freedom is true practice. After hearing all these principles, you might ask, for ordinary people living in noisy cities, facing work pressure and relationship conflicts every day, how can we truly cultivate that silent concentration? This is the practical part we need to discuss. Spiritual practice is not abstract talk. It needs to be maintained bit by bit in daily life. Ancient Zen masters often said, "A small hermit hides in the mountains. A great hermit hides in the city. A true master does not hide deep in the mountains to practice. They can maintain inner peace in the noisiest of environments. This is marketplace Zen. In the roar of the city, in the crowded subway, in the chaos of the office, you can still maintain awareness and guard your inner concentration. The first step is to learn to gather the six senses. The six senses refer to the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Our energy is largely lost through these six senses reaching outward. The eyes see stimulating images. The ears hear noisy sounds. The tongue speaks meaningless words, and the mind chases after various thoughts. Every outward grasp is a leak of energy. Practice is learning to call these scattered energies back. How exactly do you do this? When you walk on a noisy street, do not let your eyes dart everywhere. Keep a soft gaze, looking but not staring. When a loud noise comes, do not let your mind rise and fall with it. Instead, anchor your attention on your breathing. This process is building an impenetrable energy shield. No matter how loud the outside world gets, it is just background noise. Your inner world remains awake and peaceful. Next, I want to share 3 specific practical methods to help you protect your energy and cultivate concentration during your daily interactions. Number 1, managing your visual energy with a compassionate gaze. The eyes are the windows to the soul and a major channel for energy exchange. When talking with someone, do not stare aggressively right into their eyes. That creates an energy confrontation. And do not look around the room, which makes you look distracted and scatters your energy. The correct method is to soften your gaze and gently focus on the space between the other person's eyebrows. This has 2 benefits. First, it filters out the aggression of direct eye contact, which often carries competition and resistance. Looking at the space between the eyebrows softens your gaze and makes it compassionate. Second, it anchors your mind. When your eyes have a fixed focal point, your mind is less likely to be dragged away by the outside world, allowing you to stay in the present moment. When you practice this, imagine your eyes carry a light of compassion. This light passes through the person's eyebrows and illuminates their inner world. This intention will make your entire aura soft yet powerful. Number 2, the throat chakra gravity exercise. Speaking like a distant bell, the way you speak determines whether your energy is draining or gathering. When many people speak, their voice comes from it is sharp, rushed, and light. This way of speaking scatters energy outward. After talking, you feel tired and your throat hurts. A practitioner's voice is different. When they speak, the voice comes from the diaphragm, resonates in the chest, and finally exits the throat. This sound is deep, thick, and magnetic. It sounds like a distant temple bell lingering in the air. How do you practice this? Every morning, find a quiet place, take a deep breath, and sink the air down into your abdomen. Then exhale slowly while making a deep hum sound. Feel the sound rise from your belly, resonate in your chest, and vibrate in your head. After practicing this for a while, you will find your voice becoming thicker and more penetrating. When you speak with this voice, every word carries weight and is impossible to ignore. More importantly, this way of speaking is a conservation of energy. You will not feel exhausted from talking. Number 3, the physical silence switch. This is a highly practical technique. Pick an item you touch every day, maybe a ring on your finger, the watch on your wrist, or a small stone in your pocket. Make this your silence reminder. When you are in a social setting and suddenly feel an overwhelming urge to show off, argue, or prove something, immediately touch this item. This simple action can instantly pull you from reaction mode into awareness mode. While touching it, do 3 things. Take 1 deep breath, sinking the air into your abdomen. Silently tell yourself, I do not need to prove anything, and visualize a golden shield protecting your entire body. No external judgment can pierce. This exercise seems simple, but it is incredibly effective. It gives you a pause button, allowing you to regain control the moment you are about to lose it. The core of all these methods comes down to one word: awareness. Every time you are about to speak, ask yourself a question. Why am I saying this? Is it truly necessary? Or am I just trying to show off? Is it to benefit others or to satisfy my own vanity? If it is the latter, keep your mouth closed. This awareness requires deliberate practice at first, but over time, it will become your instinct. You will naturally filter out meaningless words and naturally protect your energy. Remember, spiritual practice is not asking you to speak when you need to speak, express yourself when you need to express yourself. But let your expression come from clear awareness, not impulsive reaction. Let it come from a compassionate heart, not an inflated ego. This is the secret to cultivating concentration right in the middle of a noisy city. Do not escape. Do not fight. Just stay aware and gut. We are nearing the end of our journey, exploring why the higher someone's spiritual level is, the less they dare say they are practicing. Silence is the truest background color of life. It is like a piece of premium calligraphy paper. Its value is not in the ink that has already been drawn, but in the clean, pure blank space that is left behind. Precisely because the background is clean, the brushstrokes can be breathtaking. Precisely because the inner world is empty, the manifestation can be powerful. True practitioners are like that blank paper. They are in no rush to show the world anything. They are in no rush to prove anything. They just quietly maintain that cleanliness and purity. When the right causes and conditions meet, whatever needs to manifest will naturally manifest. Whatever needs to be said will naturally be said. Everything happens in silence. Everything happens in awareness. Let us summarize the insights from our journey today. From a psychological perspective, we looked at the Dunning-Kruger effect. While true masters maintain profound humility, they know the ocean of knowledge is boundless, and what they hold is but a single drop from the dimension of language. We understood that words fail and the mind's activity ceases. Truth transcends duality, but language is inherently dualistic. Once expressed in words, the truth. That is why Vimalakirti used silence to explain non-duality, and why Zen masters say, like drinking water, only you know if it is cold or warm. From the laws of energy, we uncovered the power of silence. Every boast is an energy leak, while silence is advanced energy conservation. Truly stable people build an impenetrable energy field through silence, naturally radiating a deeply awe-inspiring presence. From Zen stories, we saw how true enlightened masters use the ordinary to explain the extraordinary. Master Shiqian's treasure that doesn't need shouting. The silent monk Wuyan moving the bell with stillness. Master Xu-Yun's 20 years as a kitchen worker. They use their lives to tell us that practice is not about appearances. It is about awareness in every present moment, from cause and effect and humility. We understood the deep meaning behind not daring to speak. It is a reverence for karma. It is humility before the truth. It is the natural state that emerges as the ego gradually dissolves. When you truly step onto the path of practice, you will find yourself daring to speak carelessly less and less, because you become increasingly aware of how little you actually know. Since spiritual practice is a personal experience like drinking water, you do not need to prove to the world that you tasted it. You do not need to describe to others how sweet it is. That sweetness belongs only to you. It exists only in your heart. When you no longer need the world's validation, when you no longer need to use your spiritual identity to prove your worth, when you can hear your own truest heartbeat amidst the roaring noise of the world. That is when your true practice finally begins. The ultimate business card is not the titles you hold, the temples you have visited, or the masters it is the calm and grace you maintain, no matter how noisy the world gets. That calm comes from a profound understanding of yourself. That grace stems from a direct experience of the truth. You do not need to speak because you are who you are. You do not need to prove anything because you are living in that state. In an era desperate to may you be like an ancient well, peaceful on the surface, clear and sweet in the depths. May you be like a high mountain, standing tall and firm without saying a word. May you walk deeper and closer on your path of practice. May you increasingly understand what true freedom is. Remember, true spiritual practice is never about becoming an enlightened. It is about dismantling the illusion of me and returning to the essence of life that is already perfect and already free. When you truly arrive there, you will realize you have been there all along. Welcome to Sacred Dharma. If this video touched your heart today, please leave a comment and share your thoughts. Every interaction is a beautiful return. May you hear your truest heartbeat amidst the noise of the world. Please subscribe and hit the like button to join us on this path of awakening.